5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And it's live.
This is Leicester Till I Die TV. Watch and subscribe on YouTube and listen on your podcast platform.
Good afternoon, good morning, good night, good day, goodbye, good evening, hello, welcome along wherever you are in the world. One of those will apply to you. This is LTID TV from Leicester Till I Die. Thank you for joining us. If you are doing so via YouTube, we appreciate you popping in, or if you are listening via your podcast platform of choice, thank you very much as well. Really, really do appreciate it. And look, I finally paid off the alimony. So I've been able to welcome him back. We're not going to do each other again next season, probably, but it's great to have him back. Let's say hello all the way from Turf Moorhouse TV and Burnley, which many of you will know is the scene for many a apocalyptic movie. Dan, what are you doing, sir?
Staying indoors so I don't appear in the next dodgy franchise that they do around here.
Looking out your window at that woman getting undressed.
I'm all right. Thanks again for having me. Hi to everybody. It has been quite a while. And yeah, it's just a shame. It really is, again, a shame that we're going to be potentially crossing paths and saying hi on the way past, which is devastating because I actually look forward to eventually being in the same league, which let's see what happens.
Well,
who knows?
It may not, but I think it bloody will. I do feel like, the EFL and the Premier League are like our mum and dad trying to keep us apart and say, no, you two can't be friends. You never see him again. It has got a bit of a feeling like that, hasn't it?
Well, at the moment, you're with the parent with the money, so...
Yeah, but he's trying to cut our allowance.
Yeah, true. He's made a point of that. Minus a few.
Well, yeah, it is still in arbitration, so who knows where that is going. Look, you are our supercomputer today because you're going to tell... I know. Desperate times, guys, desperate times.
Everybody else were busy.
Yeah, the budget's been cut. We couldn't afford a proper computer. So we've got the man with less hair than me. Here, and I love those little screens, I'll tell you. Let's just say a few hellos, because there's a few hellos in. Zola, hello, sir. Is he one of yours?
No.
No, I haven't seen you before. Well, it's your first time, Lazola. So welcome along. Thank you very much for joining us. Blue Fox, all the way from Canada, is in. As is Paul, watching your podcast in the sunshine. It's not bad. I've just been to the doctors and he told me I need more sun. I've got to get more vitamin D. I said, I've just come back from a fucking week in Lanzarote. What have I done wrong? By all means, let's get reacquainted with the championship. We need to. Resist is in. Hello, Resist. How are you? As is Douglas. Hello, Douglas. A rumour is out. Manchester City could be relegated. Rumours. I don't think that will happen. Doug says, good afternoon, John Hartson.
Hey, I'll take it.
And here he is. Let's get the one bad joke out the way. What did one toilet say to another? You look flushed.
But
I know. That's just Doug's toilet humour, though. He started. I'm blaming Doug. I'm blaming Doug. Okay, so yeah, it looks like we are going to go down. Whether you are going to pass us the other way, we will get to later. But let's have a look at the countdown for the EFL Championship. 2 from 3 for automatic promotion, possibly. Top half could make the playoffs, and the relegation is wide open. So it's actually a lot more exciting, as it usually is, to be honest with you, than the Premier League.
I'd say so. I'd 100% say the EFL's such a much more interesting league.
No, but it is, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It is, because you don't know what team's going to have twists and turns. There's one team staring relegation in the face. The season after, they're in the playoff hunt. You just don't know what's going to happen. It's absolute madness. But I think that's why I much prefer the Championship to the Premier League. The Premier League's just financial gain, really.
Yeah, no, totally 100%. I agree with you. I mean, you know, you look at look, you've had a couple of seasons in it. We had a season in it. Football's better. Refereeing standards are better. Let's be honest with you. The worst referees we had last season were those that had come down from the Premier League. You know, there was some decent, and with no VAR. And I know it's the old cliche, but with no VAR, yes, you know, sometimes you could see that decisions the referee were making were wrong, but you accepted it because you're thinking, well, he hasn't got the 20 cameras to look at, and you kind of knew that it would probably balance up over the season.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing you've got to look at. There's been many times where you think that could have gone against you, could have gone for you. Would you have grumbled if it had gone your way? And you've got to ask yourself them sort of questions, but it's human error. And like I say, you do get the one referee who gets it completely wrong or is very whistle happy, card happy, wants to make the whole 90 minutes about him or her. But other than that, it's just one of those things, you know, referees are there for a reason. Unfortunately, some are just downright shite.
I know, but at least they're shite by themselves. They're not shite with 8 cameras and 20, angles and whatever.
That is a positive. That is a positive.
Yes,
for them.
Yeah. The prodigal adopted son has returned.
How are we doing, Brad?
Brad, are you free tomorrow night at 7? I need a substitute if you are. Right. Shall we have a look at the table? I mean, it makes better reading for you than the Premier League does for us. But as we said before, if it's the way you like it, we'll start at the bottom.
Yeah.
The bottom 3 there, Plymouth, Luton and Derby. Well, let's start with Plymouth. I mean, they got rid of a certain Mr. Wayne Rooney, didn't they? But
they did.
Are they there because of him? I mean, they only just stayed up last season, didn't they?
Yeah. For me, I thought Rooney to Plymouth wasn't a bad appointment because Plymouth were almost like they're the next level up from Rotherham. I know they're not in the Championship this year, Rotherham, but they usually are a relegation flirter. So I thought Plymouth would be around the same. I thought Rooney's name would have had more of a pull. I don't think he's tried to get anybody higher level. He's tried to get players that any normal Championship manager in that Plymouth role would have been able to try and attract. In his tenure, he managed to keep hold of Morgan Whittaker, who was rumoured we moved to Burnley for quite a while. He ended up eventually going to Middlesbrough in the January window. But he was like their main focal point in midfield. And I think since losing him in the centre of the park, they've had to dig deeper to get results. I think it's Muslic who's in there now. He's got a big task in his hands. I do think man management wise and tactically, this guy in League One will change Plymouth for the better. And when they come up the next time, they'll give a really good account of themselves. I think a lot of teams down there need to look at sort of the way other teams that have come up have played. You know, your likes of Ipswich that literally had 3 back-to-back promotions. It can be done. It can be done if you do it right and you invest well. But Plymouth haven't. They've even took a striker off us on loan in Michael Obafemi. I don't think he's done that much, to be fair. So, you know, I feel for Plymouth because I think they're a really nice, solid club, especially in that southern area. But you know, there's got unfortunately there's got to be three worst teams of the season, and unfortunately for them, they falter into that category.
And do you think if they'd had anybody other than Rooney, that they might not be in this position? I mean, we all look at Rooney as a scapegoat, don't we? But was he that bad for them?
I think Rooney could have done with maybe a job as a number 2 or a first team coach, get a bit of an insight. You know, look at what, you know, I think Gerrard did a bit under Klopp, worked in the under 21s. And to be fair, if I was Rooney, I'd look at what Klopp said to Gerrard, which was, you'll be remembered as Steven Gerrard, the player. However, forget that. You're now Steven Gerrard, the manager. You're an unknown. It's a clean slate for you. This is where you go and write your name and show your credentials. And I don't think Rooney's done that. Rooney's come in and thought, I'm going to have the pull. The players are going to want to play for Wayne Rooney. And they didn't, plain and simple.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it isn't over. There are only, as I say, 8 games to go, I think, isn't there? And there's only 6 points between them and Cardiff or Stoke. So it is all still to play.
It's 8 cup finals, Chris. 8 cup finals for all of them down in that bottom bit of pyramid. So, you know, who knows? Who knows? There's a lot of unwritten stories. And yes, Plymouth being sponsored by Ginsters. I mean, to be fair, the Ginsters are from Plymouth, aren't they? They're made in Plymouth as well.
Yeah, but Brad has got this hatred for some reason of Ginsters. I don't know where it's come from. Maybe he was attacked by a giant gangster in his youth. I don't know, but he does have this hatred of gangsters. But look, the team. I mean, I like Plymouth. They started off very well last season, from what I remember, and I like to see the smaller clubs come up and make a crack of it. But who knows? Like I say, but it looks like they're probably their fate is sealed. For me, unfortunately, although I'm not a million miles off seeing Leicester in this position this time next season. Luton, having got relegated, look like they're going straight back down again.
Yeah, an absolute shame. Everybody's underdog in that Premier League season. I think if you look at a few teams that have done this, really. Huddersfield, Blackpool, they're in League One now, both them clubs. But
I don't know, got this fixation. I'm sure
it's the Cornwall-Devon divide, isn't it? It's the Cornwall-Devon divide. Don't get him started on scones and cream and jam. Jesus, will that be an whole nother argument? But no, Luton was everybody's. Well, yeah. Luton was everybody's underdog in the Prem, and I feel for them because they've come down, and you'd like to think that they held the nucleus of the squad together. I know heads can drop, but it shouldn't have done. Something just didn't go right for I forgot his last name, but Rob. But he's he was the women's pin up for the underdog of Luton, and he couldn't. It's so strange. I really like Luton as a club. This don't get me all excited, Brad.
Talking again, you're excited. Let's say a quick hello to the beautiful and lovely Kate.
Oh, for God's sake! Good morning, good afternoon, good day.
I thought she was out. She cannot bear to be apart from you for more than a few minutes. You put jam before cream the other day. Wrong on so many levels, Morehouse.
I was tired and I just didn't care. I was starving. I'd been on a long walk. I got back and I thought, sod it. If you put it on, right, no matter which way you turn it, right, it looks like the cream's on first or it looks like the jam's on first. Does it matter?
I am totally with this, doesn't matter, but welcome along to Can't Cook, Won't Cook. Alison Hammond, you've changed, I must say. Rob Edwards is who we were thinking of.
Yes, Rob Edwards. I feel for him because he actually had the dressing room. He really did have the dressing room, and they put a togetherness together. I honestly thought they might have stayed up in that Premier League season with the late push they were giving, but it just wasn't to be. They found it so difficult this year, so difficult. I think once you adjust to the Premier League and the sort of strenuity of it, of how like demanding games can be, how physical players are, that within a blink of an eye, one player's making a pass, the other, next minute, you're in behind your defence and it's in the back of the net. You've got to be so quick and on the ball and sharp, and I think Luton have lost that sharpness massively. So I think it's Matt Bloomfield who's in there now. He's got a job on his hands to keep them up, but again, I just think it's too little too late for Luton, and it's a shame, really. But I think a lot of teams will go down to League One, start again, start a scratch, rebuild. How many sides have we seen do that? I think Luton could be one of those sides alongside Plymouth. But yeah, for me, it's a strange one seeing Luton down there. I don't think anybody would have had Luton amongst the bottom three at the beginning and end of the season.
I didn't know. I didn't expect them to necessarily come straight back up. But look, they've had their moment in the spotlight, if you like. They'd come from non-league up to the Premier League, not consecutively, but they've done that journey, and it is a shame to see them. But I have a feeling that they will go down as well. Now, the third one, I don't know if they will go down. I hope they'll go down. but no, I got to say a little bit of me. I do like a local derby, and unfortunately this season the local derbies have been Nottingham Forest, and unfortunately they've been better than us, so that hurts. But if they stay up, we'll have Coventry and Derby. And look, I'm pleased both of those teams, and we'll come on to Coventry later, glad both of those teams are still around, because of course they both had financial problems, points deductions, etc. So I don't want to see any club go out of business, even if it's Derby or Coventry. But I have a feeling they may just make a fist of it.
Yeah, I think bringing back, as Derby would call it, the prodigal son, John Eustace, I think that's a story in itself, which as a Burnley fan was quality to see. It's not often you can pry a manager away from a playoff potential contender and bring them in for a relegation scrap. It's such a strange way, but John Eustace has gone in there.
Would it?
What's that?
Would that be your big neighbours?
No, Aki aren't that big. But no, I'd say Derby are going to really make a fist of it. These last 8 games, it's a do or die situation for them. I think John Eustace is a cracking manager. I actually thought he was a good appointment at Blackburn as well. But I think for Derby, he really could be the one that turns their fortunes around. And between the other 2 teams just above, Stoke and Cardiff, I think it's them that have to look over the shoulders. It's like I say, with 8 games to go, nothing's certain anymore.
No.
Like I say, that fight you've wanted all year turns up in the last 10 games. And you wonder, why now? I mean, you'll take it if you stay up and everything, but still, you ask yourself the question, why now? For me, Derby are the ones to beat and try and, I think they'll be the ones that actually do stay up.
Well, let's look at the next 3 there. You mentioned Cardiff, Stoke, and there's also Hull. Hull have seen have a self-destruct button that they like to press. And Stoke and Mark Robbins is there at the moment, somebody that I wouldn't have sort of necessarily minded at Leicester. And Cardiff. I mean, Cardiff, surely it's their turn to go down. They've flirted with it season after season, haven't they?
Yeah, they have. Cardiff were like Birmingham for the last couple of seasons, where they look like on the brink. And again, it's definitely between Cardiff and Stoke for me. Hull have a bit about them. I don't understand how Hull are one of those teams. They start a season really well and then falter off. But Cardiff, I don't know. They just seem to be there. They're just there. There has to be 24 teams in this league. Cardiff has to be one of them. It just makes it's a weird one. But like I said, they've had I think it's a minus 20 goal difference, if I'm led to believe.
Minus 20 they are, yes, yeah.
Yeah, so it's they are shipping goals left, right, and centre. I don't think the Cardiff faithful even know what their keeper's face looks like these days. We're having to pick the ball out the back of the net.
I mean, Hull are only on -8. That could be a big saving grace for them.
Oh, massively. The difference between Hull, Stoke and Cardiff, like you say, there's 6 between Stoke and Cardiff, and then another 6 between Hull and Stoke. It's huge. Them goals could be the big key factors. And, Derby's only on -11.
Yes.
So even they're only losing games by the odd goal. They're not getting, shafted every week. I think Derby played Plymouth before the international break as well and won 3-2. So they're winning against the teams around them as well to get themselves out of it.
Yeah.
It's so tough at the bottom end of the Championship. But yeah, for me, I think Derby do stay up, and I think Cardiff will be the ones to drop with Luton and Plymouth.
Well, we will see. Time will tell. The next 3 going up from that. Look, if I said to you a 3, name me a club with a 3-sided stadium, you could go Bournemouth, but I think Oxford is probably the most famous one. Don't know if they'll ever do that 4th stand. Portsmouth and Swansea. Now, Oxford and Portsmouth, I think they both came up, didn't they, last season?
Yeah.
And they struggle. I mean, Portsmouth at the start, if my memory serves me, had a very bad start. Yeah,
they did. I honestly wrote Portsmouth off when they came up. I thought it's took them a while to get back to the Championship. Obviously, after their financial struggles and being in the lower leagues of football, but they started to sort of claw their way back into it. Started off very, very poorly. But I've seen a few games of Portsmouth, and the way they set up is really interesting. I like that they play like a counter-attacking football, but they're very quick at getting back when, if the other team tries to counter on them. I do like the way they set up. Oxford as well has surprised me massively. Yeah. I thought Oxford would have been a stonewaller for the drop, so I apologise to any Oxford fans. But I think you should
pass your apologies on to me, mate.
I do like Oxford and the way they've gone about it, and they could be a surprise package. They next year they're probably looking and thinking, right, well, there's worse teams than us that have gone down, or better teams than us that have gone down, maybe, and maybe we might be one of the 3 that flirts with it next year. But I think that Oxford could be a surprise package next season because they've been written off, and sometimes you write teams off. And it doesn't go the way you expect it to do.
All 3 of those teams there, Oxford, Portsmouth, Swansea, are all previous top league teams, not necessarily Premier League, but the top league teams. And Swansea, now, I mean, last season when we were down in this league, I spoke to Chickenhead, who some of you may know from the call centre, which was a really, really good fly on the wall documentary. How unwritten it was, I don't know, but as that's where I worked in one at the time, I found it highly amusing, and he was one of them. Lovely man, and football fanatic. Swansea was his team, and he was writing them off himself. I didn't have to write them off at all. But again, I mean, the mid-table 44, you could say they're technically still in that relegation fight, but they look safe to me.
Yeah, I think 16th and up. I mean, potentially 18th and up. It all depends. 8 games doesn't seem like a lot, but in terms of points, it's massive, absolutely massive. Injuries, suspensions could come into play. It's so difficult to call. But I do like Swansea. Look at how they've had such success, in recent times as well. I think it was under Roberto Martinez. They've had the likes of Big Michu up front. They've had Baffotimbi Gomes and his little cap celebration and crawling and
Nathan Dyer, who
Nathan Dyer, yes,
won a Premier League medal with us.
Yeah, did he? No, he did all right in a Steve Cottrell Burnley side on loan from Swansea a while back. But other than that, we actually enjoyed him. I think we wanted him permanently, but the club wouldn't stump up the cash.
Well, no, he did all right for us, including an amazing goal where he knocked himself out but scored at the and didn't know anything about it. Against Aston Villa, 2-0 down, came back to win 3-2.
You take that again now. You would take that again now, I bet.
It ain't going to happen under this clown, but yes, indeed. We're not talking Leicester yet, anyway. Look, 13th, 14th, 15th in that order: Norwich, Preston, QPR. One of those I expected to be there. 2 I didn't. Mid-table. No. The one I expected to be there, Preston.
Yeah, now, they're a staple, championship staple.
Every time I see Preston, they seem to have a good start. And last season, they were up there, battling in the automatic promotions and in the playoffs. And then they always, I think they want a 30-game season.
Yeah, I think they're the most unluckiest side ever to grace the championship. How many times they've flirted with the playoffs, finished just outside of them, been in the playoffs, messed it up. If stats are true, I think Preston have never ever played in the Premier League.
No, they haven't.
Or top flight. No, they might have been in the top flight potentially.
The top flight, obviously. Years and years.
But yeah, in the Premier League, I think they're one of the only teams in the Championship, one of a few that haven't been to the top. So I don't feel for them, because to be fair, we've still got a bit of a rivalry with them, but not much. Don't consider them a rival anymore, really. But they are a Championship staple, and there and thereabouts. I couldn't disagree with you. Sorry, on them being where they are. QPR, I thought could potentially drop. I thought QPR could have been one of the ones to drop, but they've surprised. QPR, is it still who? Sorry,
is it still the same guy that was there before? He took over last season.
Yes, I think
because they had the guy that used to be the ex. Oh yeah, it's Marty. I can never pronounce his name.
Martin McCutcheon.
Yeah. Oh God, she was. I used to have a bit of a soft spot for Marty. Well, I didn't have a bit of a hard spot for Marty McCutcheon. Sorry, Marty Cifuentes.
Yeah, and rather you than me.
Yeah, quite pleased with myself. He took over from Gareth Ainsworth, who was the ex-player, and it's always a problem with him going back as a manager. Crowd loved him. He couldn't do it. They were struggling last season. Marty came in and completely turned them round. And fair play, I think they'd have taken where they are now if you'd offered it at the start of the season. Yeah,
big time. I had them in that bottom 5 category easily, but they've done really well to get a mid-table finish, which I can't see them getting any higher than where they are, really. Again, another staple of the Championship. But you go up to 13th, you go with Norwich. I thought, again, they would have been in the playoff pack, and they've been very disappointed.
Yeah, Johannes Hoff Thorup is the manager. Who the fuck is that? Not who the fuck is Alice. Who the fuck is Johannes Hoff Thorup? Never heard of him. May last year he took over, apparently.
Yeah, I don't know. I only remember his name because I think when I was drunk, I called him some cough syrup. I called him or something like that. Or throw up. I think it might have been throw up or something. His last name. because they just, yeah, it was throw up. I said, because just like Norwich, they'll throw up a result out of nowhere. I said, so it makes sense. But yeah, they've been very, very underwhelming. Very, very underwhelming.
Yeah, they've well, I mean, look at the season: won 12, drawn 13, lost
13.
Yeah, it's literally.
I don't think they've invested. They've not invested very well either. I mean, we released Ashley Barnes last season. He went to Norwich, and I think they were trying to look for someone who'd fit that Pookie mould.
Yeah,
you know, that a bit of a bullish striker up front, puts himself about. And you got to think that Barnes is what, 34, 35. He wasn't really going to take the reins. But if I'm not mistaken, I think their striker is actually top goal scorer in the Championship, which is really strange. Yeah, Borja Sanz has got 17 goals this season. He's the top goal scorer in the Championship.
They have scored 60 goals, but they've conceded 54.
Yeah, Josh Sargent's not far down on that list as well, with 12. But
he was being linked with a lot of clubs last season, wasn't he?
Yeah, but it's like I say, it's all well and good scoring goals. I know from the time of watching Burnley under Eddie Howe, we could score goals for fun, but we'd also ship goals like no tomorrow. And if you're not seeing those games out, it costs you. And I think that's why Norwich are in the position that they're in, which is a shame because apart from Dealey Smith, I think they're a decent club.
I mean, Josh Sargent, I think he was probably hoping for promotion and he could have become a lieutenant.
Hey!
Here all week. Thank you very much. Has Dealey Smith moved recently, or does she still live in Let's Be Avenue?
Yeah, probably.
Moving on up. The next three, Sheffield Wednesday, Millwall and Watford, 12th, 11th and 10th. Sheffield Wednesday, again, from last season, that what I remember, a team that struggled a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I think they've overachieved again this season as well. But I think that's down to Danny Rowe. I think what an amazing manager he is. I'd take him. I would have took him at Burnley as well when our management situation weren't looking the best. I think he's a manager that could potentially go to the Premier League at some point. I think he's done really well with what he's got. Sheffield Wednesday remind me of Burnley a little bit because they've still got a nucleus of a team that they've had for quite a few years. It don't count then, Paul. Then that don't count for Preston.
that was before football was invented, wasn't it?
Hey, Burnley won top division titles in '60s. So, no, it doesn't, Chris. That still counts.
No, that was before the. What did they say? I can't think of the acronym, but before the Premier League, you didn't know. But yeah, I'm really. I don't think, like you say, I don't think they'll necessarily go any higher. But
no,
I think they'll be pleased with that this season. Everybody's favourite second club, not Millwall, in 11th.
Well, you were just singing them people, weren't you?
13 won, 12 drawn, 13 lost. Again, it's where I'd probably expect Millwall to be.
I had them lower. When Burnley took Zian Fleming off them. I thought, where's their source of goals going to come from? I thought they'd struggle. Zian Fleming was scoring goals for fun in a number 10 role and helping keep Millwall afloat, really. But they have done really well. Again, they're another team like Sheffield Wednesday. They've got a core group that they seem to build a team around. Sheffield Wednesday have made a few additions. Millwall have made a few additions, and it's paid off for them. So a good, solid mid-table toward, high, edging towards top end. Very good position for both of them clubs. Don't get me started on Watford.
Well, I was going to say, it's a team that we kind of model ourselves on at the moment. It goes up and down. And you've got, who's their current manager at Watford?
Oh, it's...
It's my Google not working. Mind you, if you type in Watford manager on Google, the first choice it gives you is Watford manager sacked.
Well, there you go. To be fair, it's Tom Cleverley.
Of course it is, yes, yeah.
But, again, Watford have... There was a lot of rumours that Tom Cleverley was going to get the sack this season, and they were saying that it's already been done, it's going to be announced in 24 hours. Watford actually had to release a statement saying that, no, we're behind the manager, don't know where this rumour's come from, that we plan to back Tom. So, fair play to them. About time they did something. Yeah. Maybe Tom Cleverley's more of a pushover than some of the people they've employed before, so they thought, well, we've got it easy and we can do what we want to do behind the scenes. But a 10th place finish, I'll say a 10th place finish. It's obviously the season's not done yet.
No.
There is a good chance that they could make the playoffs, but I don't think they're good enough. I honestly don't think the squad is good enough to contend for the playoffs.
I mean, Tom's been there since March 2024. 28 games. It's a long service award at Watford, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It's practically a nartut.
Yeah, I know. But let's have a look. He stayed there longer than Chris Wilder, who was there for 11 games. Slaven Bilic, 25. Rob Edwards, 11. Hodgson, 18. Ranieri, 14. Muniz was there for 36, in fairness. Vladimir Egypt was 20, more than him, more than Nigel Pearson. I mean, more than Sanchez Flores. I mean, look, we joke about Leicester changing managers, but that's ridiculous. Maybe if they've got the balls to stick with it, Watford, top half this season, maybe they could go further if they stick with him next season.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I think Tom Cleverley gets the dressing room as well. I think that's what he had as a player, as a captain. I know it's difficult when you make a transition from player to management, but we've seen with the likes of Gary O'Neill, he made a transition from player to manager, stepped in when clubs needed him, did a really good job. And then, time will tell. Time will tell. Cleverly, but again, it's not a forgiving league.
No.
It's such a difficult league.
Watford only 5 points off the playoffs.
I just don't think they've got enough about them, though. Really don't.
The next three might have. In
ninth, the next two maybe.
In ninth, we've got Blackburn Rovers, the mighty Rovers. In 8th, we've got Middlesbrough. And in 7th, we've got Bristol City. Now, look, let's get Blackburn Rovers. Blackburn Rovers, you're just a small bus stop outside Blackburn, aren't you? He hates me. Bob. Blackburn Rovers.
While you talk about these, just leave me out of it.
You love them. You love the derbies.
Only because it's a good 6 points.
Yeah, what was the last time they beat you? Must have been years ago.
Oh, it's coming up nearly 10 years now. Coming up, I think.
Wow. Well, look, they sat there in 9th, won 15, lost 16, 52, 5 off. Like I say, the playoffs. John Eustace left them to go to Derby.
Yeah, really strange. Really strange. Well, I say strange. It is and it isn't. It is for where Blackburn were at the time. I think they were sat 5th, the 6th, when Eustace left to go to Derby. And you heard the rumours, and I thought, surely not. Like, he's building something there.
Hey, I told you before, don't call me Shirley.
Only on a weekend. Yeah. But I actually was looking forward to maybe if we do make the playoffs, questions in the pub between Burnley fans were all, could you imagine a Burnley-Blackburn playoff final? God, London police are going to have a field day. How do you separate Wembley for such an event like that. It'd be absolute pandemonium. Oh.
Imagine the trains going down, bloody hell.
Oh, mate, the trains would go down. Simple as that. They go down, they derail the whole lot. It'd be pandemonium. But again, you can see the reason why he's gone, that everything behind closed doors is an absolute shambles. The Venkies haven't been to Blackburn and to Ewood Park for, I think, coming up 10 years, something like that. They've not even been to a game. They've got their own legal proceedings and stuff going on back in India, wherever they are based. It's not.
That's just foul, isn't it?
It's very foul, Chris. Like your fucking jokes, Jesus Christ. They're so shit that they make you laugh. It's I can't even keep it in. I can't keep it in. Honestly. But yeah, they've massively dropped. I think the confidence that a manager can instill in a squad, when that manager ups and leaves, it's very, very difficult. Valerian Ismail, who's been around a few championship clubs, we were just speaking about Watford. I think he had a stint there as well. It wasn't. His record isn't that great. I think the Blackburn have brought a yes man in, almost like this guy's going to come in. If he can steady it, he can steady it. A bit like we thought with Scott Parker, really. But we'll talk about Burnley after. I feel for Blackburn. I think it would have been nice to see them in the playoffs and then on the last day drop out so we could have a laugh. But
you're not bitter.
No, I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all. I'm not. But it's a shame for them, because I honestly thought that they might be on a rebuild. They might actually do something. I think they might have got the investment with a playoff place, or potentially somebody buying them out. Somebody might still look at Blackburn and look at the history that they've had. That's all they can rely on. That's not a dig, by the way. I mean, it is, but but no, they've. I think I'd say they've even overachieved. Really, I think even a top 10 finish for them is going to be a great finish for them anyway. I think as players, they will be very, very disappointed not to have got themselves nailed on playoff place. If anything, they've done a Preston. They peaked too soon and dropped out at the final hurdle.
And I mean, if you don't make it, would you really like to get them in a playoff final? I mean, I'd watch that.
A playoff final would be something, because, I mean, don't get me wrong, we don't just hold bragging rights. We won the league at Ewood Park in Vincent Kompany's reign. You know, that's something we will always be able to sing against them, have against them. It's not usual that you win in your rival's back garden, to be fair, and win the league there. So that was a massive achievement. I think I'd rather have them over two legs so I can beat them twice before we go on to win the playoffs. But I think from a neutral, a Burnley Blackburn playoff final, all in, the stakes are so high, the intensity of the fans, the rivalry, it's something else. It would be something else. I think I'd be on pins though for 90 minutes. I don't think I could.
I would be torn, to be honest with you, having lived in Burnley but worked for Blackburn. I don't know where my loyalties would lie.
Wherever the result is after 90 minutes, you take court. That's probably it.
I thought you were going to come back with wherever you lay your hat.
Well, I did borrow it off you.
Yeah. Middlesbrough, starting 8th. Michael Carrick, been linked with probably every Premier League job when it comes up. But again, look, what I like about Middlesbrough is they have a board, a chairman that sticks by the manager. They do seem to get long runs, and they seem to have that long project, don't they? And
yeah.
Michael Carrick went in, turned them round, and all right, they're not top 2 or anything, but they're improving slowly, aren't they?
Yeah, I think Steve Gibson, like you said there, the chairman's done really, really well in holding Michael Carrick down. I think even managed when Carrick was under a lot of links to Premier League clubs, even managed to get him tied down to a new contract, which would have given the players a little bit more security that, while this project that we are, is Carrick the project? That's the question. And I think Steve Gibson gives that to the manager, that you are our project. You are who we want to be the person to take us to that next level. They're still in with an outside chance. My only problem is that they've got quite a youthful squad. And as we know from our Premier League era, that youth can stand you in good stead, but you do need a couple of older heads in there to shore it up, a few father figures in the group. But Michael Carrick is a quality manager, and I can see them definitely, if not this year, making a real push for either just into the playoffs or in a top 2 finish.
Again, only one win outside of it, though.
Massive.
Even closer to them, Bristol City in 7th, on exactly the same points as West Brom in 6th. We'll come on to West Brom in a second. But Bristol City, you know what? They've not lost in 5. I'd love to see their team like that in the Premier League.
Massively. Bristol City are humongous underdogs. They've had numerous big-time injuries this season as well. There's been a lot of off-field stuff with, Liam Manning, the manager. He's had a lot this year as well. So for him to still be able to get that team going, after his, I think it was his son that passed away.
Right.
And what a positive end, to the season for Liam Manning to be able to get Bristol City into the playoffs. They're going silently about it as well, because everybody's talking about how, I know we'll get on to them, but how Coventry's having a late push and doing pretty well. But nobody's talking about Bristol City. They're like the silent assassins, just on the cusp. I really do hope they make it in, because I think they're a brilliant club. I went down to Bristol City the promotion season 2 years back, and it was the last away game of the year. So accommodating, so nice, so genuine, down to earth. I mean, the away end's a bit of a dump, but you expect that when you go away. It's not going to be sunshine and rainbows. A good little club. Their stadium is fit for the Premier League as well. I've got nothing but superlatives. Bristol City. I think they're a well-run little club that have punched above their weight, and I want them to make it. Not I think I want them to make it.
If they do you think there'd be another Luton?
I think they'll be. I think they've got investment. I think they've got investment there to make a go of it. But then that said, so had Ipswich. So so had yourselves as well. With some of the players you've signed, I think you've got some good young players there that have the potential. So you can look at those teams. Southampton, the squad they had, I thought might have made a bit of a push for in the Prem, rebuilding their way back up. But it's not been great. The difference between the Championship and the Premier League is massive. The caliber of it's huge, and you can easily get found out. I don't think anybody in that top 10, and I'm including the top 3 as well. The top 3 as well have a squad ready and capable of being a stay in the Premier League with the squads that they've got. But I think Bristol City, with the right investment, will do really well.
Yeah, and a great catchment area as well. West Brom in 6. Look, they always kind of hang about there, don't they? Like a fart in a lift. You know what I mean? They're always there and thereabouts, but they never quite managed to make it to the top floor. They fell out the playoffs, I think, last season, or they certainly didn't get to the final. 57 points, the same as Bristol City, but 6 goals more in the plus department. Tony Mowbray gone back there, like they're unbeaten in 5. I can see them falling out again.
Yeah, Mowbray's got that streak in him where he'll have a good run of games, or especially the games at the top end of the table, he likes to put. For me, West Brom were one of the clubs that, when they came to Turf Moor this year, really shocked me. The way they set up, they're very much in your face, aggressive. They go stand man for man, try to catch you on the counter. We could have easily lost that game against West Brom, and that's down to Tony Mowbray. I think the reason why they are where they are. Don't get me wrong, they've done really well, played some really good football, but I think it is down to the way Tony Mowbray has set them up, give them the belief, because the majority of that West Brom squad was there 2 years ago and probably was nowhere near what they're managing to achieve now. So their energy levels, the way that they play, the way they set up, it's almost like he's analysed every single player in that squad and said, right, that's your strength, your strength, your strength. I'm going to utilise you, and you. Put it together and made a monster. So I do think, though, that with West Brom and with Bristol City going about their business quietly, I think in the next in the 8 games, it's going to be between West Brom and Bristol City, just doing this every week, chopping and changing. I feel for West Brom, though, but I think they've had their heyday in the Premier League. I'd love to see somebody new in there. So Bristol City in the playoffs, I'd put in 6th. If I'm supercomputing it, I want Bristol City in 6th.
Would you supercomputer it to have Coventry City go up? I mean, the way our season's going, that will bloody happen. This is the final nail in the coffin, or the cherry on the cake, whatever you want to say.
See, I feel like I can't be on a Leicester channel and give Coventry credit, even though they're fans.
No, you can, because I've been giving Nottingham Forest credit all season.
What, have you signed up for something?
No. I just say I don't care in the Premier League who it is. It happens to be Forest. As long as somebody's causing trouble with that big 6, I'm happy.
Yeah, upset the apple cart, whoever it is.
I mean, I want to talk Frank Lampard because, look, I know Brad hates players that go and want to become managers. Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard's one for him as well, and obviously Wayne Rooney. I don't think
Scott Parker.
But I know out of those 3, and they're like the 3 newer ones, if you like. I think Frank Lampard is not a bad manager. He got Derby to the playoffs. He got Chelsea into the Champions League without actually having been able to buy any players. You know, he had to delve into the sort of youth and whatever because of the ban on Chelsea buying anybody, and he got them to the Champions League, and then obviously Chelsea being Chelsea got rid of him. All right, you know, he struggled at Everton, but he did actually keep them up. I mean, let's not forget that. And since he's gone into Coventry, wow, what the hell's going on there? He's like Mr. Superman, isn't he?
I'm surprised at Coventry's position, losing players like Callum O'Hare. I thought would be massive because they've sort of structured a team around that central attacking midfield role. You know, but the likes of Ellis Sims and Jack Radoni as well, that they signed from Huddersfield, I thought, he'll do all right. And again, Radoni's been one of the standout players for Coventry. Frank Lampard's doing something with them. Again, they've made a late push and really started to push themselves up the table. I think it's too little too late for any sort of automatics. When we're looking at, you know, 5th and obviously 4th, I think that's 5th and 4th is pretty much, well, 4th is nailed on, but 5th, I think Coventry, if they keep up doing what they're doing, and Frank Lampard gets them playing the way he wants, Coventry could still be in there, as much as you would rather West Brom and Bristol City, I reckon.
I'd like to play Coventry again next season. Look, I mean, for me, the last 2 playoff places for me, looking from the outside and not knowing it this season, is 2 from Coventry, West Brom, Bristol, Middlesbrough, or Blackburn. You know, I think you could any of those. I suppose you could throw Watford in there because they're on the points, but I think probably not Blackburn, actually. Probably Coventry, West Brom, Bristol City, Middlesbrough, 2 of those 4. 10
Yeah,
points.
I mean, Coventry's next 2 games are interesting, Chris, because they've got Sheffield United on Friday.
Wow.
They're away at Bram Lane on Friday, and then the following Saturday, Burnley make the trip to Coventry. So when we need the points, but they need the points to keep themselves adrift from 5th and 6th. Sixth from dropping out. Yeah. It's weird as well, that Burnley Coventry game. It's an 12:30 kickoff on a Saturday.
Don't start me on times. We had a 7 p.m. Sunday night kickoff last week.
They're ugly, aren't they? They're horrible.
I mean, Sky had 2 games on TV. They had a 2 o'clock, I think it was, kickoff, which was Chelsea-Arsenal. And they could have played that at 7 o'clock at night because, fans could still get home. Anyway, don't start me on that. 10 points ahead of Coventry. You've got Sunderland. Now, again, this is a manager I've absolutely no idea. Regis Lebris. Sounds like a very French to me. But 6 points clear. I've got to say 9 points behind you. But, I mean, they've got playoff nailed on, haven't they?
Yeah, playoffs nailed on for Sunderland. Be good to see them come back up again. I think they've had, again, like what we were saying earlier, in terms of how you doing? Hope you're well. The Bournemouth Margot Robbie. I remember that podcast.
That's his missus, by the way. I know when you're going away, Craig, I'll be round. She's texted me an invitation. It's an open house. Well, not just the house that's open, but we won't go into that.
Wait till you do the 2 mates down the pub and all of a sudden it's you and Margot sat there.
What a good idea! What a great idea! Oh, yes.
Sorry, Craig. But no, I think Sunderland are just like what I was saying with Luton. Luton could go down and rebuild. Sunderland had to do that. Sunderland have had to do that. So I think Newcastle would welcome Sunderland back in there as well. It's a great rivalry to have in the Premier League. It's another one that Sky will absolutely melt over. So and that's all football's about these days, is Sky and TNT Sports. So let's give them what they want. But no, I think Sunderland have been in and around it or just dropped out for the last couple of years. This year they've got to make a go of it. I think the other year they had a chance I think they were top of the league, storming the league, and they had so much injuries with attackers. I think it was Ross Stewart that ended up going to Southampton.
Not last
was out
season.
For the season.
That was us last season.
Yeah, not last season. Potentially the season before then.
I agree what you're saying. They've always been there or thereabouts, and then they drop out.
Yeah, they just seem to falter, and I'm hoping that they don't. They've got Millwall on Saturday, and then West Brom away the following Saturday. So all the teams in and around that top 8 still have to play each other near enough. It's so tough to call. So tough to call.
Yes.
Sounds more like Every.
No, Every doesn't get it in the right place. But just tell the missus, Craig, I've got a special delivery for her. Anyway, as soon as he comes in, he's not even on the show. He's only in the chat, and he takes it down. Right, here we go. Top 3. It's 2 from 3, I have said, and I think we can all agree that it's going to be 2 from 3. Nail biting. You are in 3rd at the moment, 9 points clear of Sunderland, but only 2 points behind Sheffield United, with an absolutely, if I may say, fucking amazing goal difference, plus 41. You've conceded less goals in 38 games than we concede in 3.
I'll take it.
I mean, look, we all joked at the start of the season. We were saying thank you, Burnley, for doing the rest of the leagues a favour and taking out the market. My God, I mean, he may not be able to keep teams up, or he may not be able to keep his job when he gets them up, but he knows how to get teams up to the top of that, towards the top of that division, doesn't he?
Oh, without doubt. I mean, look at his record at Fulham, at Bournemouth. I know Craig might not be his biggest fan.
No.
But
he loves him, actually. He's told me he wished that he could get him back.
Is that while he's wiping the tears of Eddie Howe's recent success? Or
Exactly.
that were meant to be us, Eddie? But no, we've done really, really well. We've, again, had to deal with a bit of a shitstorm coming down. Company somehow getting the Bayern Munich job after one of the worst recorded seasons in Burnley's history in the top division. Don't know how that comes about, but I think it's because that he stuck to the way he played and he didn't change it. And I think that's the reason he got the Bayern job. It was exciting football, don't get me wrong, but if it's not winning your games, then something's got to change. I can't blame him for going to Bayern Munich, really. You're not going to say no, are you? You're not going to say no if a massive club like that, a team expected to finish as top dogs in Bundesliga. But Scott Parker, again, wasn't everybody's choice. I think it was a lot of people saying it was better than Frank Lampard if it was to be Parker. In fact, there was outrage that Frank Lampard could potentially be the Burnley manager. People were tagging Alan Pace, telling him not Lampard, we don't want him, keep him away. We were all interested in Ruud, funnily enough. We all thought man like Van Nistelrooy was about to step foot into the Turf Moor helm. And
why?
Well, like I say, Chris, he had his head turned by Manchester United, a bit like Weghorst did. But then, we saw how that worked. So, he was obviously going to go back to Man United at that point. I think he thought that he was going to get a longer tenure than he did, even as Ten Hag's second or third in command. But yeah, we opted for Scott Parker, a mass exodus of players that wanted to play for company and not for Burnley Football Club or the badge, which he's putting the bins away. We've had no complaints at Lancashire County Council. All bins have been emptied and points have been collected. So
I've swapped Ruud with Scott Parker at the moment.
Yeah, it's such. I think Alan Pace wanted a name. Alan Pace wanted a name like company. So Ruud van Nistelrooy was high up there. Let's get a former player with pulling power. But it was Burnley's sort of recruitment team that said, look at what Scott Parker's achieved. Look at what he's done at turning clubs around and their fortunes. He'd be the perfect candidate. Like I say, losing a lot of players and having, next to nothing. I think we had about 8 or 9 players, first teamers, really still left. So it did look like a bit of a struggle. We had to bring in cover, spend on these players. Our transfer structure had to change. But I think we've actually built a core group now. With the videos that Burnley Football Club are putting out of the togetherness, they've all just done a video. It's 11 minutes long. They've been playing the Traitors TV show. They've been doing their own version of that. And it showed you like who won it and things like that. So that it's good. And I think Parker even says it's, that wasn't my doing. They've all done it themselves. They did it after the January transfer window to get everybody in together. Money got put into a pot and they did it, they've had a real blast with it. And he said it's brought the club so much togetherness. That's what you need at this business end of the season. And if I don't think we're even looking as fans, we're looking at the two above. I think as players, no, not so much. I think they're just going about their business. Let's turn them draws into wins. Let's try and get, a positive result out of each game week. And the last couple of games, we have done. We've actually been scoring goals. We look confident. We're firing on all cylinders. I've got nothing but superlatives for the way we're actually coming across this year, because it could have gone absolutely tits up, and it hasn't. So I'm happy if we finish third. I'd like to see us do well in the playoffs if it is the playoffs. But you want a top two finish. You want security. When your chairman tells you, though, Chris, when your chairman tells you that in his lifetime or after, he wants to make and see Burnley win a Champions League, and you look at him and you want to laugh, but when he says it, you dream big or go home. At the end of the day,
our owners took us over and said we wanted European football in 5 years. We had it in less than that. So look, live the dream, mate. Live the dream.
Exactly.
15 draws this season, though.
Yeah.
But only 2 losses. Like I say, I'm taking everything I've said about Scott Parker back. Whether he will keep you up if you go up, or he'll last the season is another point. But I have got to say, fucking well done, Scott Parker. I think he's having a brilliant season.
Yeah, a lot of people write him off. I think there's still fans in the stadium that write him off. But he's got a tune out of them. He's managed to bring that closeness together from, like I said, a squad that was torn apart. He's managed to bring it all together again and knit it back together. Clearly something late in the south, because nobody does knitting up here hardly anymore. But
that's the national sport in Lancashire. You knit.
I've been called worse.
I'm going to say it's not a question, it is a statement. If you finish third, is that a disappointment for you?
Some fans would say yes. I would say no. I'd say that's still a positive after. You can look at it with claret-tinted glasses and you can look at it as a realist. I'm sorry, but for me, both, I'd snap your hand off for being still within that. If we don't go up this season, so be it. So be it. We as a club want that. The hierarchy at Burnley want that. And for me, would I be asked about another season in the Championship? No. It's so much more entertaining. The games come thick and fast. It's amazing to watch. Like I say, decisions even themselves out. I think it would be good for Scott Parker as well. I think it would be good for Scott Parker to have another season and really put his stamp on the squad. But then, yet again, when you're up there, go for it. You're there on merit, so do it. Go for it. Try and finish the job.
I've said about Leicester, I mean, we're not going to get promoted. We're not going to get promoted straight away. The EFL are going to be hitting us with management plans, points deductions, transfer embargoes. We'll be lucky to be mid-table, I believe. And I said if Leicester don't go straight back up, I would prefer that and then have a couple of seasons down in the Championship to get ready, because let's go on to them now. Leeds, 80 points. Sheffield United, 80 points. Yes, only 2 more than you, but they both had more than the one season down. And they're, at the moment, holding those 2 positions for the automatics. And I think sometimes coming straight back up isn't always the best thing for you.
It's not. It's not. It can be a blessing. It can be a blessing, and it can also be a hindrance, because you're expected to achieve. You're expected to overachieve.
Yeah.
And the difficulty with that is your fan base can easily become restless because they're expecting these big things. I said the same this year, and I'll say it to any Burnley fan that comes across this and watches, that we have punched above our weight for many a years. Nobody achieved under that. Nobody expected in them Stan Ternent days that when we used to flirt around the playoffs and then falter at Christmas, that we would be anywhere near where we were. The Owen Coyle situation, I just remember rubbing my eyes at Wembley afterwards. I was crying, but also just like, I can't believe it. We're a Premier League club. Like, I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime. We've been so spoiled. European football with a club that I didn't have a pot to piss in. You know, that every player was knocking on their 30s. It was the same squad, same starting 11, week in, week out, knocking out them 1-0 wins. We have been spoiled as a fan base, and like I say, a lot a lot of the time you can bite the hand that feeds you. And I think Sheffield United, for me, if going on to them in second, they had to rebuild. They've had to rebuild. They say sometimes don't go backwards, but obviously bringing Chris Wilder back for them clearly has been a good thing.
I rate Chris Wilder as a manager.
Yeah. I used to like him, but now I think he's just got this arrogance about him, and I don't know whether that's just because of where they are or maybe a bitterness, because I think Wilder expected the Burnley job when Dash was sacked.
Right.
Because, in fact, Wilder was spotted at Turf Moor.
Okay.
And so I think there may be a little bit of bitterness there. But again, he's gone in there. Some of the players he signed, I thought, bringing O'Hare in from Coventry, where's he going to fit into that system? The signing of the keeper from Plymouth, Michael Cooper. What a keeper he's been. Now, don't get me wrong. I know James Trafford has kept clean sheet after clean sheet after clean sheet to the point that, we nearly ended up getting JJ Watt playing for the Bengals and stuff, and it were all over social media. But for me, alongside James Trafford, Mark Cooper has to be up there for one of the best goalkeepers of this championship season. He's kept Sheffield United in games on his own. He's an absolute unit, and they got him for a steal as well. The players they brought in, they didn't overspend on these players either. They managed to keep hold of Anel Ahmedhodzic at centre back, who I thought would have got a Premier League move. It is. It's my Wi-Fi password, so I can spell it now as well. So it again. You can try and build a squad, whether that squad gels, unites, works together, and it seems to be. Is it Victor Johansson, storekeeper?
I'm sure he'll answer you. I've no idea. Obviously,
I think it's. I think if it is, I think it was him. He was at Rotherham last season. He's a very good keeper. But yeah, Sheffield United, out of the two, between them and Leeds, are the ones that I think, as fans, we're looking at has the potential to drop points.
Right.
I watched them against Sheffield Wednesday the other week, and Sheffield Wednesday, for me, hands down, were the better side in the game. Sheffield United were poor. But as teams in that top end of the table do, all they need is one attempt and to put it away, one lapse of concentration, and they saw the game off at 1-0. I really thought that was a game that potentially could have done us a favour. But Leeds are doing their usual. They're proverbial, let's put Joy Division on because falling apart again.
Yeah.
They seem to do it every single year. I don't know what it is. It's almost like they've got it wrapped up.
Excited. They tease themselves, don't
they? They do. It's almost like they've gone to a bar, they've gone to chat somebody up, and they think, right, I'm in here. And all of a sudden, a mate pulls her away and says, right, we're going to the next bar. And they're like, we'll come. Oh, it's all right. Don't worry. Don't rush your pan. We might catch up later. They've gone back home. Like, they're not interested.
Yeah. Well, let's not forget, last season they got really excited because they were top of the league for 1 week.
Oh, yeah.
On +1 goal difference over us. And we had their players coming out saying they were the best team in the championship. Well, they were still again this season, weren't they?
It's the thing is with Leeds, there's a reason why everybody hates them. There's an arrogance. There's this, again, they run off history. They run off history. They need to write their own, because at the moment, like I say, they're a good advocate for being in the Premier League of Leeds. But yeah, 1 million as well. What a steal! What an absolute steal!
You have mentioned this, but I'll ask it you now because I've written it down, so I'm going to ask it you anyway. So out of those top two, if you were going to take over one of those two, not saying that you would finish first or second, but is it Sheffield United you think would drop out the top two?
Yeah. I think they're the more likely. I mean, they've got Coventry Friday night, as we said earlier.
Yeah.
Then they're away at Oxford, and then they're back home again against Millwall on a midweeker. So they're running. I think I must add, they've got Plymouth away and Cardiff, and then Cardiff at home. They've also to play Stoke and Blackburn, and on Easter Monday they take a trip to Turf Moor. So again, that could be a massive game when it's the last 3 games of the season.
Yeah.
Coming to Turf Moor on Easter Monday. Kickoff time's been moved to R5 as well, so fans are a bit peed off. Again, they're playing teams that are trying to stay up, and teams that are trying, like I say, Cardiff and Stoke. Plymouth might make a late push. Blackburn might be wanting a late push on. If anything, that's the thing that bugs me. They play Blackburn at home on the final day. Now, it might come down to the fact that Burnley need to do their business on the final day, and Sheffield United need to do theirs. But if Burnley falter on the final day, Blackburn will be going, we'll chuck this one. We'll chuck this one and let you have it because we don't want them getting promoted.
Oh, that's an accusation. That's
an accusation. It's a fan accusation. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
We all think it. Sometimes they're going to chuck it if it means that they get second and we finish it playoffs. And they'll probably celebrate it like it was their own doing. We had this planned. We knew. But for me,
last season and they beat us.
But that's it though with Blackburn as well. You don't know what team you're going to get from one week to the next. But yeah, that Easter Monday game at Turf Moor is absolutely massive for the running. So I'm looking forward. I mean, I'm just having a look at Leeds games. They've got Swansea at home, Luton away, then they play Borough at home. Borough away, Preston at home. I think they've got a game in hand, Leeds, actually.
Have they?
No, they haven't. No, they haven't. I've just read them wrong. Well, yeah, Borough at home, Preston at Borough away, Preston at home, Oxford away. Again, they're all teams that maybe mid-table have nothing to fear.
Yeah.
If anything, it's in Leeds' hands. The game that's interesting is Leeds play Plymouth on the final day, and if Plymouth need the points to stay up, again, makes it very interesting. And
if Leeds fall into the playoffs, 6 playoffs they've been in and never won one.
It's a stat and a half. Daniel Farker's got a real task on his hands with the Leeds job. A lot of Leeds fans even wrote him off. When he came in after they've had all the American gaffer and all stuff like that. Farker comes in who, all right, he didn't do too bad at Norwich, but
he got them up a couple of times, but he couldn't keep them up. But then you've got to question the backing. But talking about going up, and we'll end on this one. Last season when you were up here, there was you, Luton, and
Sheffield
United, wasn't it? Yeah. Straight up, straight down. Southampton, Leicester, Ipswich this season, looking like straight up, straight down. Now, we're talking about this gap between the Championship and the Premier League getting bigger and bigger, but Leicester and Southampton were both Premier League teams 12 months ago.
Yeah.
Oh, well, the season before, I should say. So there should be nothing that should surprise them. If Coventry go up, West Brom, Bristol City, their first time of going up like Luton, it might all be a bit daunting. But for the likes of Leicester and Southampton this season, we should know what it's all about because we were not so long up there. Same this season with Burnley, Sheffield United and Leeds United. Let's say that would be the 3 that you'd probably put your money on going up. Can they break? I mean, it's never has it happened before where the 3 promoted teams go straight back down 2 seasons in a row. It's going to happen this season. Can any of you 3 stop it happening 3 seasons in a row?
I think, like I said earlier, I don't think anybody in that top three, I don't think any of the squads are ready for the Premier League. So it all depends on recruitment in the summer, players they may retain. It's such a weird stat, isn't it? Like the three that come up goes down. It could, like you said there, could happen for 2 years in a row. You look at the teams above you though, like Everton have got lucky. I think if Everton probably still had Sean Dyche, could potentially have been in there. Spurs under Ange. They've been poor. I don't know how he's still there. Wolves, West Ham, Southampton. Obviously, I know you've got a liking for Southampton, with not being far from where you live, so it's easy to get to for games. So at least that's another game next season.
The thing is, right, the funny thing is that the team that didn't change the manager, Crystal Palace, when we took over, you had the bottom three there. You had Wolves, Everton, West Ham, and Palace. Those seven were all in the relegation battle. Palace were the one that didn't change the manager, and Palace are the one that are now doing best out of those seven. And I want to ask you, I asked this of an Everton fan. I want to ask you, I want Ruud van Nistelrooy gone now. He won't, because but I want to make the most of the international break. Chuck him out, because he ain't going to get us back up. He ain't used to the championship. He's got no fucking idea what goes on down there. Now, what I am saying is, get Sean Dyche in. Okay, he may not save us. I don't think we're savable. I don't think Jesus could save us, to be honest with you. And the Halifax Building Society certainly couldn't save. But what he could do is, it would give him 10 games to look at that squad and go, "You're fucking shit, get out." Well, all right, you can possibly, there's some youth, and look at youth players and bring them up. Then he's ready for next summer, because this is what we did with Brendan Rodgers. He had 10 games at the end of the season, which tells you more about the players than any fucking pre-season that you play. And then you've also got a manager that could get you out of the championship. Now,
I think with Dyche, sorry Chris, I think with Dyche though as well, it was the way he commanded the respect from his players as well. You used to see Burnley walk in on TV, none of them with headphones on. There was a case of, right, if fans ask for sign stuff, whatever. That reminds me of Fergie. Fergie were the same as well, Alex Ferguson. He was the same. No, don't want none of this headphone bullshit. I want you to go out there. You're playing for them. So, show them why. There's a lot of long, old traditions that have gone within football now. Players rule the roost. They can swan around and do this and think they're Billy Big Bollocks before they can even run. And yet they're out of the team for 3 weeks the week after, but they've still got their ego with them. It's so difficult. It's so difficult. But I totally agree with you. I think someone like Dyche coming in at Leicester would be the perfect appointment at the right time now. Like you said, might not keep you up, but next season would sift out the shit. Sift out the shit and say, look, you're not needed. We're going to pass you on or whatever, and would build, it'd build a trust within the group. I think that's what's needed. You need that back. There's been a lot of change at Leicester in recent times with from managers in such a short space, and I think you need something settled. Yeah. Once it settles, it should all come back to fruition.
Our problem with winning the fucking league is that the players, the fans expect us to be up there every season now.
Yeah, but it's silly. It goes back to what I said though, as fan bases are fickle and they don't. So they seem to think, because that was the same squad that won the Premier League, we can do it again. It's the same squad that got Burnley into Europe. The same 30-year-olds that the season after they think can do it again. That's the reason we like football, because these things take us by storm. They're unexpected. And that's why people love that sort of story. But you can't rest on your laurels that, we've won this, we've won that. Leave that to Blackburn in 95. That's all they go on about. And they've not had a pot to piss in since. So let everybody else go about their business. Leicester need to remember, well, it's the famous 2 words, humble beginnings.
Yes, totally. Interesting, like I say, that's, Everton, the Everton fan, James Dunlop, said he thought he'd do a good job for us. You've said you thought he'd do a good job for us. Not the fancy name that we want, but like you say, I think he'd stabilise us next season. Maybe take a couple of seasons to get us back up because of what the EFL have got waiting for us, and then might keep us up the season after. Then we can look at maybe somebody to take us, that bit further. But look, lovely to speak to you again, Daniel.
Yeah, pleasure, Chris, pleasure.
And I know I always am. I promise next time to use some lube. But I've got to say, as much as I'd love to see you next season, week in, week out, and play you a couple of times and give you 6 points. Good luck with the promotion. I think it's Leeds, Sheffield, and Burnley. If you're looking at form, it's you 3 guys. You've lost 2, Leeds 4, Chef 6. It's 2 from 3 for automatic. I think we can say that Sunderland aren't going to get there. I know the playoffs are a lottery. I love Leeds to fall into the playoffs and lose the 7th final, but maybe there is a God if that happens. But like I say, I think it'll be you 3 going up next at the end of the season, and we will wave at each other again as we pass one another. Ships in the night. Ships in the night.
I don't want 2 Yorkshire clubs going up automatically. It's not fair. It's not right.
Well, Leeds will come straight back down anyway.
Well, yeah, there is that.
Daniel Farke can't keep a team in the top flight, can he?
He can't, little Farker.
Mind you, having said that, Scott Parker doesn't particularly always do well.
Well, we'll see. Maybe lessons have been learned. Maybe. You can only get better than your last job, can't you?
Exactly. But well done. Look, if anybody wants to listen back to this, it's available on the pod. It will be available on the podcast in 5 minutes. Where can people find you, Dan? I mean, usually it's in the behind the George pub, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Trying to ask someone to scab me a pint. But no, yeah, at Turf Morehouse on all social media platforms. Well, most of them. And like I say, I've not even done much. I've not done much content for a while. I don't think I've done it for about 6 months. But I'm going to get myself back into it, just due to work commitments, and give the people what they're not wanting.
Well, I've been doing that for years, mate. And talking about giving fans what they don't want. Coming up tonight at 7:15, we got the second of the weekend watch-alongs of England, and I've got to say, I don't normally, because I mean, look, if we can't get out of this fucking group, then we don't, deserve to have a national football team. But it was actually nice to see a team that I support on Friday night score a goal. I have to be honest, I did not know how to celebrate. It completely we scored. What do I do? How do I celebrate? It's been that fucking long since Leicester. 645 minutes, mate. 645 minutes since we scored a Premier League goal.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
Exactly.
You know what's going to happen now? You're going to bag after the international break, form changes, and you'll be like, shit, I've just been slagging Rude all international break.
I'll tell you something, right? You think that I have just put this out. Let me I'll get this up and I will show you my my latest social media. But do join me, like I say, at 7:15 for the watch along tonight. I will be joined by Wayne. This is Rude's history with us. 115 days in charge, 16 Premier League games, 2 wins, 1 draw, 9 goals scored, 47 goals conceded. Sorry, 648 minutes without a goal in the Premier League.
Not good reading, that is it.
You wanted him?
Did he get given a? Has he been given a transfer window, Rude?
No, but you have to make the best of what you've got.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
When 11 games, he picks virtually the same players and the same formation and loses every single game. I'm sorry, even I could work out that maybe I need to change something.
Yeah. Maybe he just hasn't got the dressing room as he thought he would.
I mean, don't worry. After the international break, we've just got Man City, Liverpool, and Newcastle. Piece of piss.
Free hits. Nothing to do with Rude. The free hits, though.
Oh, mate. Thank you very, very much. Give all my love and everything to the kids and obviously to the delectable Kate.
Will do.
Yes, I'm Burnley's answer to Margot Robbie. That's what I would say. Go on, deny it. She's watching this now. Deny it.
No, I'm not denying anything. Look,
go and give Dan a follow. He's going to start coming back with some content. It's always good stuff. Click the like button. Smash the subscribe button. Indeed. Click the notification. Share it if you want. $1.99. Become a member. It's all there for you. What else could you ask for? Probably a good-looking presenter. But there we go. I'm doing my best. Thanks for coming on, Dan. Thanks to everybody that's been watching and listening on platform. I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thanks for watching. These videos are tremendous. You'd better like them too, or I'll be back.
This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
That will conclude this evening's entertainment.